Brian, stop the tape.
Okay, Mike. Oh, wait. Rewind that scene, please.
Rewind that scene.
Rewind that scene.
Rewind it.
Rewind that scene.
I'm Mike Rizzo.
I'm Brian Bonds.
And this is the Rewind That Scene podcast. A podcast where we go back in time to our favorite cult classics, 80s, 90s, 2000 movies that we grew up on, that we were obsessed with, where we go back and dissect it, talk about our favorite scenes. We bring actors on, directors, crew members, people's moms, people's cousins, people's pets, all of the above. It's amazing. It's magical, right, Baby Bon?
I love it. We even bring on people's principals, teachers, co-workers.
Even their orthodontists, their medical assistants.
We know your medical records now, but it really is a cool podcast that we have to put out this intro every time because if you haven't heard us before, we're just two best friends that grew up doing our thing. But we know you're listening because you like this movie.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this movie was definitely kind of weird and great. Shrinking your children, right?
Dude.
Due to a mad scientist father played by Rick Moranis, one of the best guys ever.
It's insane,
yeah,
dude.
What a cool
idea. He was in Ghostbusters 2.
I mean, he was in all of best 80s movies, right?
He's really
80s,
in like
90s.
a lot of great movies. And I know that Ryan Reynolds has brought him back recently. Rick Moranis, if you're listening to this, we hope you come back to the Ghostbusters franchise. But Honey, I Shrunk the Kid, and I know I starred in Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. I'm just kidding. But I definitely look like that kid. But I'm saying Honey, I Shrunk the Kid was like the best. The kids drove the story.
Yeah.
But you had these two families. This is what it's like to be parents. Like, do the moms get along?
Yep.
Everybody's got these like little like, I think this about that. And it's like, my house is like this. And this dude does this. And like, imagine getting your kids hanged up like in the mix of some scientists with their kids.
Right.
And they fucking shrunk them down.
Well, I'm really excited to have Big Russ Thompson on the show. I mean, his
Russ.
energy and just like his mannerisms and his like vibe is like such like a classic dad, like eccentric, like weirdo. I love the scene with the barbell when he's like aggressively like, you gotta do the weights in the garage, like do the weights. Like, there's just so much good shit about like the baseball and like play ball and like
it's great because you could tell little Russ has like some like real big shoulder kind of vibes, and Big Russ is like this is a good dynamic between what the parent is and wants their son to be too, and you know who their son is. I mean, I really think this movie sets the like precedent on like we don't see this dynamic a lot in a lot of movies now.
Yeah, and it's also like really interesting. I think also like I know a lot of our episodes are since we go back in time, but like the way they probably did the green screen and the blue screen and like the perspective changes and like, you know, you can see that they're cut out on a green screen, you know, like with all like the different sizes of the little couch and the screw and the ant, right? Like just like the way they, I don't know, just like it was very like impressive, I think, just how they did that back then, right? I mean, because it looks so cool. Just like, it's also great when the cops go to both doors and they're like, oh, this is a weird family, like to both sets of the parents. It's so stupid.
But it's great though. This is exactly what should be going on. Like, it is fucking.
And then the
weird.
dude with the remote control lawnmower, like, no, don't put the lawnmower on. Like, he's like, what? And he has like his headphones on. You can't hear them.
Oh,
you get stressed out. There's a lot of tension building in this movie.
I'm really just honored that we have Matt on the show today.
Let's call him down. Come on, Matt. We need you, man.
Thank you so much, Matt. We're big fans of just all the work you've done throughout the past years, from the television work and beyond that into the film. Something that's resonated with Mike and I growing up was your sort of energy in this film. And really, you channel this like persona that we really love. And how was it like when you were at the point approaching in your life, like finding out about the role in this project?
I came to it pretty late on in the process, actually, and it was quite late on in the whole audition thing. I think I was one of the last people, and I think, in a way, they were sort of taking a flyer on me and sort of go, well, let's try this guy. We sort of heard a few things about him, and then went in, and it went great. I really all I remember about the audition was having the hat. because it seemed very Big Russ to sort of have a baseball hat, and it was fantastic doing it. And Rick and I got along great right from the word go. And Joe was amazing and really encouraged us to just bounce off each other and do whatever. So it was a blast. So, Joe was, I was starting to introduce a little bit of a Texas twang, as I recall it, and he would get a little bit miffed because he's from Texas. So he didn't want Big Russ to sort of have a little bit of a twang, and he sort of steered me away from that. So it was fun to do. It was really fun.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you're just like, you have like such these mannerisms and this zany, like amazing vibe to you that we were just like, this guy's amazing.
You're very kind. Thanks. No, it was fun.
How was it working with your co-star Christine Sutherland and like, getting that like husband neighbor dynamic? Like, how did you like tap that?
She was great. I mean, right from the word go, because she was so stable and sort of placid, and it seemed like a kind of a great counterpoint to the sort of Big Russ thing of like, hey, come on, everything's got to be like this. You got to lift weights. Come on.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I mean, you never really had a sense of what the movie was trying to do until it was all cut together, and it suddenly occurs to you that it's really just about a guy, Rick, who loves his family deeply and needs to be reunited with them. And, as we were piecing it together, it was just such a rollicking good time. You never really had a sense of the, I don't want to say typically Disney message that it was trying to convey, because it was, in a way that's, I mean, that's what they're trying to do, but it sort of denigrates it to say that, because it was wholehearted in a heartfelt way. It was really, really great to see how it was pieced together in the end.
That's awesome. When I was a kid, and Mike, we went to Florida and Universal Studios. And when we were growing up, there was like the film canister and the jungle. And it was really like this whole like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids thing. I remember an exhibit, I'm pretty sure, at the park. And it was like the movie. And what was that like when like filming with just props, giant things and scaled objects? I mean, I know everything is CGI, but I know animatronics and other things, and you're going through the grass, and just there's their tall blades. But like, I know they made movies then, and it's so cool that like, they tried to replicate that in the theme park.
Yeah. The oversized props were so much easier to work with, obviously, than it is doing green screen or blue screen, because I've done a lot of stuff since then where you're, trying to relate to a tennis ball on a stick, and instead of the oversized props, the giant Cheerios. And I think my favorite one was probably the oversized ants, the giant ant puppet. It was fantastic, because we shot the thing down in Mexico City, and the puppeteers were all Mexican, and the head puppeteer was great. One of his guys would be on one leg, one would be on one caliper, the other one would be on the other caliper. So there'd be about 6 guys wrapped around this whole giant ant, and he'd be going, unos, dos, tres, and you'd get caliper, caliper, leg, caliper, leg.
Oh, I love that.
It was fantastic. Wow. And then you'd be trying to do lines with him too, and you'd be doing your lines while he was doing it. You kind of go, you gotta cool it down. So okay, that unos, dos, tres. Honest. And he was so sort of sort of like, kind of a handsome Mexican guy who was just sort of like, it was like a sort of toreador with his giant ant puppet. That sort of became way more distracting than him yelling unos, dos, tres. It was just sort of one of many goofy things on the set, because the whole set was Main Street, USA, and if you ever felt homesick, you'd just sort of wander around. It was incredible what they did.
That was like kind of leading to our next question. Like, for some of the diehard fans, like, were there any like memorable moments or kind of funny stories that you can share?
Well, Rick and I would go out to dinner quite a lot, and because our per diem was in pesos, you'd get a pile of per diem. It was fantastic. It was like a sort of foot-high pile of per diem, which was probably, I don't know, $150 or something, but it was just like, it was all pesos. And so we would always have this thing at, I can't even remember what the restaurant was, but it was quite a nice sort of like 4-star restaurant in the hotel where we were staying. And we would go, okay, I will bet you my entire pile of pesos, all my per diem, if you put this mantequilla ball, a little ball of butter, into the electric fan. And so the stakes just sort of kept getting higher and higher until eventually we would get kicked out. And that was the goal, to get kicked out of the restaurant.
You're the reason why I found ramen in my air conditioner at the holiday.
That's it.
That's right.
That's definitely it.
I think it's noodles.
That really happened, but I love that you guys had this like next level bet. I love
That's
it.
something that we would do. We would do growing up.
Like up the ante, right? I love that. Was it fun working with the kids as well? It seemed like they obviously had to like carry part of the story in that part.
Yeah, they were remarkable, actually. I mean, very savvy performers, and they'd obviously been on sets before. There was no sense of nerves or unease. I mean, they were immediately at home as soon as they got there, in a kind of an impressive way, not a kind of Hollywood kid way. You know, they weren't precocious in any way, and just great to work with. They were terrific.
You know, as parents, we recognize how it feels to be your character, and growing up, we want to be them, and also at the same time not be them, you know, because it was like, holy shit. You know, like, you know, if we had that device, what would we all be doing right now? Bad things.
If there was one prop from the movie that you can take home and explain to your future guests, what would it be?
I think the ant. Auntie. He was fantastic. And you really feel for this sort of this giant thing. You know, by the end, it was great what they did. They gave him a personality. So God bless our puppeteers. You know,
yes,
amazing.
Yeah. Is there any advice that you'd want to just put out into the world from a creative aspect? You know, obviously, Mike and I grew up together in Brooklyn, and we love playing music and shooting movies. And you know, we're both dads now, but like, I really feel it's important to put and spread the, you know, just good wisdom out there. And I feel with this movie and all the like, beyond, like, you know, because this is kind of a unique one where it's like you're a parent, but it's a comedy Disney movie, but it's also insane. But then there's so many different roles that you've done where they're more darker, they're really intense on the drama side, which are great, and we love that stuff too. But you've really had a really cool scope from the different projects and get to do these cool things, and we love that about you. So,
well, firstly, thank you for such high-calorie compliments. I'm wow, my head is fitting the headphones.
It's true. You're the best, man.
I love Brooklyn. We shot The Nick there. And it was fantastic being in Brooklyn. I loved it. It was one of the few places I've been to on location anywhere where I thought I could live here. I loved it. So it was great. As far as advice goes, I mean, I get a lot of people saying, "Do you think I should become an actor?" And if they have to ask, then probably the answer is no, because there's so much rejection and heartache. You kind of don't do it unless you can't not do it. It would be my advice. And when I was coming up, I hate kind of doing the kind of this is the retrospective interview, but I trained. I had a classical training as an actor over in England, and that kind of prepares you for anything and everything. The ups and downs of rep theater and West End and all the rest of it, and bits and pieces in film and TV, and then the Max Headroom thing happened and brought me over to LA. you kind of want to get a great grounding and be ready for anything and have a lot of strings to your bow, and don't cut anything off, not in a surgery way, but in a kind of just be open to everything. It's the sort of profession where you have to have a tough skin but an open heart, and it's a kind of a very strange combo. But 6 weeks in, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like our listeners love that. Like, we just love to like encourage and like kind of get the point of view out there from people like you and the, the industry, and just to kind of give that, encouragement, because, we have a lot of friends who do that and get burnt out really fast.
Yeah, and that's right. And I think another key would probably be to get a training. Otherwise, you're going to fall into the trap of playing yourself over and over again. And as a result of that, you're going to feel as though you have to brand yourself. And then you become in danger of becoming a social media influencer rather than an actor.
Yeah,
I can't emphasize that more in the current state in the world of where I work in, and what you mean by that too, because and just even go back to you going to the UK, right, and working with on stage with theater to film and TV, like it really shows that you have to keep an open mind, but also like work in those different worlds. I feel when the play's done, it's done. When the series wraps, it's done. When the movies wraps, it's done. But it's what those different projects and duration are, and
or when you get that role, you got to really bring it, right? You got to like really nail it.
Well, that's it, and particularly these days, just going back to what you said, once the show's over. These days, because of streaming, young actors don't get as much of a chance as I did, for instance, to get any traction, because the whole landscape kind of blew up, and they're a lot of eyes on a lot of projects, but it's so dissipated now. And when I first came over to LA from London in England, you had the four main networks, and HBO was sort of just starting up, and cable was the new thing, and now with streaming, for a young actor to get any traction at all, it's really difficult. So you really have to be on your toes even more, and be ready for anything, and have many strings to your bow. And the way to do that is to get the best training possible, so you're ready for anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense, man. Wow.
Yeah, it's good to put into practice. Instead of the suburban setting, we grew up in an apartment building, and it was like, hey, neighbors were always like, hey, what are you doing? So it's like, it's kind of like this great,
very similar.
Yeah. There was this good tension you provide, and
is there anything you wanna plug? Anything that you're working on?
Well, I just got back from New Mexico. I've been working on this George Martin project, Mr. Game of Thrones, and
nice.
it's this thing called the Summer Machine, and it's basically a post-apocalyptic Wizard of Oz, and I'm playing the wizard. So it was a blast. It was great. Lots of a lot of fun. Like some great creative people. So we have high hopes for that. I think it's going to be part of because they're all half-hour segments, and it's going to go into an anthology style movie like Twilight Zone. I believe I think that's the plan for it. So
beautiful.
And looks like Max is coming back.
Really? This is exciting stuff.
Wow.
Yes. Back into the makeup again.
My God.
You're ready for it, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so ready to get back into the rubber. I can't tell you. It'll be fun. I would insist on doing it that way, and not a kind of motion capture thing. I did the character once in Pixels, the Adam Sandler movie, and it was a motion capture thing, and I didn't really like it. You feel curiously disengaged from what you're doing, but having the makeup on, it's a much better connection to what you're doing, mainly because the connection is with the glue. It's and the hour and a half it takes to get off. It's a much more organic way of doing it. So, but yeah, really looking forward to that, and that'll be an AMC thing. They're going to take it out, and we're going to shop it around again after a long time on the shelf. So, it should be
Well,
should
best
be
of
fun.
luck with that, man.
Thank
It's
you,
so
thank you.
exciting.
Yeah,
That is so cool that's coming back.
So
I mean,
good.
you know, when that disruption came through, and then the show. I mean, it's so cool that like in your face and the hair. I mean, it's really next level.
I miss
was
the hair. Yeah.
I was blown away.
bathing
I was
cap.
really,
Yeah.
I was like digging deep. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. That's like some of the best news we've heard all day.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's great. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to it, and hopefully it happens. There's enough interest for it, and we'll see if we can. I was going to say push it over the finish line, but push it over the starting line. It's I always feel sorry for directors that are exhausted by the time they get to day one of principal photography, because it's the
How much pre-pro, right?
Yeah. And I'm sort of part of this thing now, and it's just like, you're this sort of part of the Walking Dead by the time you get to the starting line. It's like day one, okay, let's go.
Everyone's wiped out. I know.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But it's gonna be fun. It'll be fun.
Oh, man. What a
One thing that I really latched onto, and I think Baby Bond did too, was Little Russ, dude, and his accent
Oh
got
my
called
God!
out.
You can't get.
Poor little-
Yeah, I love it. He knew. He knew the deal, man.
Yeah,
Little Russ,
right?
Little Russ.
Poor guy.
He was like, "Daddy, Big Russ. I'm from Texas." I mean, this guy is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
to hear these stories about throwing butter into the fan.
That's something that we would do, dude.
I know.
Growing up in Bay Ridge, we were always doing pranks, right?
I know, and
squirting like a moisturizer on like railings with Dominic.
It's so good. Yeah, Thomas Wilson, we know you want to, really channel into the Little Russ again, but we were so happy to chat with your dad.
He's a good daddy.
Thomas Wilson Brand, we know you. And but yeah, Matt was sick.
Yeah, we love Matt.
Mean,
Oh my
the
God.
Skolinskis, they were crazy, and you have this thing going on. You got the oatmeal pie vibes. I mean, I wanted to eat an oatmeal pie, cream pie afterwards. Like literally, you got the Lego pieces. We didn't even touch on the Lego pieces.
Oh, the Lego pieces.
But I really do love, like I said we like that amusement park needs to come back to Universal Studios. This
Yeah.
movie was sick. He's amazing, and
I can't believe you went without me to Universal.
I know
man.
that should have been the first trip
It's
before
fucked up.
California with one true Mary.
Yeah. For those that don't know, on one of our first tours in California, we encountered a woman called One Shoe Mary, only had one shoe, and cops tried to stop her because she was causing havoc. And she had one shoe, and she just downed like a 40-ounce
You got
drink
ways
or a
to go.
cocktail. Waste just in front of the cops, like, come arrest me, motherfuckers.
This is definitely.
So her name was One Shoe Mary.
Love it. I love how and it's true. We went into the spaghetti factory then, and whatever
Yep,
it's
yep.
called. Oh my goodness,
But I would have
California.
rather gone with you to see the Honey I Shrunk the Kids exhibit.
Well, they need to bring it back. They just brought the Ghostbusters one. They need to bring back Honey, I
Yeah.
Shrunk the Kids, or whatever. I Blew Up the Kids. Anyone.
any
Yeah,
of
there
the
should be a
kids.
reboot with the actors again, with Little Russ being Big Russ, and now Grandpa Russ is
Yeah.
Grandpa Russ. But this movie was sick. Yeah, and I love that he said that he wanted to take home, or like,
the aunt,
yeah,
right?
that was cool, man.
Oh man. Also, I love his life advice, man. I feel like on this show we have a lot of actors, directors, and I feel like that is a common thing. Like if you're gonna get that role, you have to be open-minded to everything, but you also have to really bring it and bring your A game and like don't slip up, right? You'll kind of only have one shot to shine, right?
That's true.
Or like, I mean, that's saying like you're only as good as your last role or whatever, but like, like it's such a cutthroat business, man.
It is.
Even with me in editing and with you with music too. Music's probably even harder.
It is.
It's like you gotta just always be adaptable and fresh and like and on it. When you get that role, you got to bring it, man. Be the best you can.
It's true.
And I love that you said about the training too. That's really, really important. And all the theater actors are always so top notch.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Training. Yeah, that was great that he said that. Yeah, there's classes, there's courses, there's stuff that is really, I mean, you can go on YouTube, you can go just get stuff from a university for pretty inexpensive. Whatever it is you're doing, there is stuff out there, but it is putting the effort out there. A lot of people think things are going to come to them.
Yeah,
and just happen.
Absolutely not.
And, one thing I love about Jay and Mark Duplass, the Duplass brothers, is the cavalry is not coming. You are the cavalry.
You are the cavalry,
So you make that happen. And I think that's what he was saying, I think, Matt.
Yeah.
Is really is
absolutely.
Like, if you're asking that question, how do I do this?
Yeah, or should I, or I'm scared. No, you just do it.
You won't even know that you're doing it until you're doing it.
And it's the same thing with us. Like when we do our projects, like it just keeps itching away. Like it's like that tickle, like that. Like we gotta do this thing. We gotta put it out there. It's not like we're never questioning if we should do it. We're just doing it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's how this podcast started.
Yeah, which led us to a secret project with NASA, which we're not going to tell you about. No kidding.
Yeah, that's under wraps. Brian just blew the whole cover.
Fuck, man. Oh, shit.
Man. Okay.
FBI.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. This was such a treat. This episode and that interview blew my mind.
Yeah, what a cool cast too, man. Like you don't see people like this. Like I want to watch it like 10 more times. Like movies
definitely.
like this.
We should do that.
Yeah, and even the sequel.
We should do that with your parents, right? We should all watch it together.
Yeah, let's do it
With your mom and dad.
Let's do it.
Follow us on social media at Bobo Touch. Give us a follow, spread the word, and please send this to other fans that love this movie because this is definitely one of those that the people need to hear the story. So thank you everyone for listening, and every month we put this out the first Friday of every month, and enjoy, and thank you so much, guys.
We love you. Cheerios, Legos, Bugs. You're the best.
Yep.
Give us a follow. Bye.
I'm gonna go meet Brian's parents.